Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning and decide, I think I'm finally ready to buy a house. Not someday, not next year, now. Maybe you've been renting for years. Maybe your lease is coming up. Maybe you're just sick and tired of watching your rent go up. Or maybe you've been scrolling through homes online for months, maybe years, wondering if buying is actually possible. So you open up your laptop, you search, how do I buy a house? And suddenly you're hit with hundreds of articles, thousands and thousands of differing opinions, information on interest rates, loan types, closing costs, earnest money, inspections, appraisals, contingencies, disclosures, titles, escrow. It's enough to make almost anyone feel overwhelmed. And here's the problem. Most people don't learn the home buying process from beginning to end. They learn it one surprise at a time. That's not how we like to work, because people find out what earnest money is after they write an offer. They learn what an appraisal is after they've already fallen in love with the house. They discover closing costs just a few weeks before closing. And after they finally get the keys, they realize there were dozens of things they wish someone had explained before they started. So that's what this video is for. I'm going to walk you through the entire process from the moment you decide you're ready to buy until the day you unlock your front door. No pressure, no hype, just a clear roadmap so you know what's coming before you get there. And while I'm going to say Minneapolis throughout this video because that's what most people are searching for, everything we're talking about also applies whether you're buying in St. Paul or anywhere else in the Twin Cities or around the country. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not just what happens, but why it happens. Because buying a home shouldn't feel mysterious. It should feel manageable. So let's start with the question that almost nobody talks about first. Should you even buy right now? Before you ever talk to a lender, before you tour your first home, before you save a single listing, you need to answer one question. Should you actually buy right now? And this might surprise you coming from a realtor. Sometimes the answer is no. Buying a house is a fantastic financial decision for a lot of people, but it's not automatically the right decision simply because you can qualify. Here's what I'd want you to think about. Do you expect to stay in the Twin Cities for at least the next few years? If there's a good chance you'll relocate in the near future, renting may provide more flexibility. Is your income reasonably stable? Can you comfortably afford not only the monthly payment, but also the unexpected costs that come with homeownership? Do you have money set aside beyond your down payment? Because once you own a home, things eventually break. Furnaces will wear out, water heaters fail, your appliances will just stop working possibly, trees need trimming, roofs age, and that's all normal. Owning a home isn't about avoiding maintenance, it's about planning for it. If you're answering yes to those questions, great, you're probably ready to keep moving forward. If not, that's okay too. One of the biggest myths in real estate is that buying is always better than renting. It isn't. The better decision is the one that fits your life right now. Because buying a home should create stability, not financial stress. And once you've decided that buying makes sense, the next step is one that almost everyone gets backwards. The step that almost everyone gets backwards is figuring out what you can comfortably afford. Notice I didn't say, figure out what you're approved for. Those are two very different numbers. Your lender can tell you what you're allowed to borrow. Only you can decide what you're comfortable spending every month, and those don't always match. Let's say a lender tells you qualify for a $500,000 home. That's useful information. But before you immediately start looking at $500,000 homes, ask yourself another question. What kind of payment actually fits the life I want to live? Because your mortgage isn't your only monthly expense. Wrapped into that's going to be property taxes and homeowners insurance. And outside of that, you're going to have utilities, internet, maintenance, repairs, and maybe an HOA. Maybe you need to buy lawn equipment. Maybe you want to pay for snow removal. Maybe a larger emergency fund to make yourself feel more comfortable. Owning a home changes your monthly budget in ways that aren't always obvious when you're just looking at listings online. One exercise I recommend is pretending you've already bought the house. If you think your monthly housing payment will be about $2,800, start living like you're already making that payment. If your current rent is $2,100, set aside the extra $700 every month. Don't touch it. See how it feels. Can you still save? Can you still travel? Can you still enjoy going out for dinner once in a while? Or does every month suddenly feel super tight? That experiment can teach you more than any online mortgage calculator ever will. And remember, the goal isn't to buy the most expensive house you can qualify for. The goal is to buy a home you can comfortably own. Because once you own it, you want to enjoy living there, not spend every month worrying about the payment. Next, you want to build your team before you shop. This is where most buyers want to skip ahead. They want to start touring houses. And honestly, I don't blame them. Looking at homes is fun. It's exciting. It's the part everyone imagines when they think about buying a house. But here's where a problem lies. If you start shopping before you've built your team, you're making one of the biggest financial decisions of your life without the right people around you. Think about it this way. If you decide to go climb a mountain, you could absolutely just start walking. But wouldn't you rather know where the trail is, where the dangerous sections are, what equipment you might need, where to stop for water? Buying a house works the same way. There are 5 people who will likely play an important role in your purchase, and we have great connections of our own. I'd love to introduce you to them. First off is your lender. They're going to help you determine your financing options, explain different loan programs, estimate your monthly payment, and provide the pre-approval you'll usually need before writing an offer. Second, your realtor. A good agent doesn't just unlock doors. They help you compare homes objectively, understand pricing, explain disclosures, identify potential concerns, negotiate on your behalf, coordinate deadlines, and help you make informed decisions. Third is your home inspector. Their job is not to tell you whether to buy a house. Their job is to help you understand it. The fourth person you need is your insurance provider. This often gets overlooked until later in the process and it kind of becomes hectic. But getting quotes early helps you understand another piece of your monthly ownership costs. And finally, your title company and closing team. They're the people making sure ownership transfers correctly, documents are prepared accurately, and funds move where they're supposed to go on closing day. When these professionals communicate well with one another, the process feels surprisingly smooth. When they don't, that's when buyers often feel overwhelmed. That's why I recommend building your team before you ever fall in love with the house. Because once you find the right home, things can move quickly. And being prepared gives you more confidence when the time comes to make a decision. And we have built a wonderful team with agents and lenders and title and inspectors, and we're happy to introduce you to all of those people during the process. Let's talk about getting pre-approved, but I want you to be able to understand exactly what that means. Because one of the most common phrases you'll hear is, you need to be pre-approved. And that is absolutely true. But let's talk about what that actually means. A pre-approval is not a guarantee that you'll get the loan. It's also not permission to spend as much as possible. What it does mean is that a lender has reviewed your financial information and believes you qualify for financing up to a certain amount, assuming everything remains consistent throughout the transaction. Think of it as a lender saying, based on what we know today, here's what appears to be possible. That matters because when you eventually submit an offer, sellers often want confidence that you're financially prepared to complete the purchase. And a strong pre-approval can help provide that confidence. And to get pre-approved, it might feel like a financial physical because you will typically provide documents such as your proof of income, recent pay stubs, W-2s or tax returns, bank statements, and information about debts and assets. Every situation is different, but gathering these documents early can make the process so much smoother. And here's one piece of advice that doesn't get talked about enough. Once you're pre-approved, try to keep your financial picture as stable as possible. This probably isn't the best time to finance a new car, open up several new credit cards, make large unexplained deposits into your bank account, or buy furniture for a home you don't have yet. Your lender will guide you through what's important, but in general, stability makes the process easier. Now comes the part everyone has been waiting for. It's finally time to start looking at houses. But before we walk through that first front door, I want to show you how to tour homes like a buyer instead of like a shopper, because those are two very different things. So this is where the process starts to feel real. You've been pre-approved, you've built your amazing team with your lender, your agent, your title person, and your home inspector, and you've probably spent weeks, maybe even months, looking at homes online. Now you're finally walking through the front door of a house you've been excited about. And here's something almost every first-time buyer experiences. The first few houses are overwhelming. You walk in and your brain starts trying to process everything all at once. The kitchen, the paint colors, the flooring, the smell, the backyard, the basement, the bedrooms, the layout, the neighborhood. By the time you leave, you remember that you liked the kitchen, but you can't remember anything about the furnace, the roof, or whether the basement felt damp or smelled musty. And that's completely normal. The goal isn't to become a home inspector overnight. The goal is to learn how to look at a house in layers. And the first layer is simple. Can you picture yourself living here? Does the layout make sense for the way you actually live? Can you imagine cooking in the kitchen, hosting friends in the kitchen, working from home if that's important to you, relaxing in the living room, walking from your bedroom to the bathroom every morning? Those emotional reactions matter. Buying a home isn't purely a math equation. You're going to live there. You should enjoy being there. But after that first emotional reaction, it's time to shift gears a little bit. Instead of asking, do I like this house? Start asking, how does this house work? How old is the roof? How old is the furnace? Has the electrical been updated? How old are the windows? How much storage is there? Especially if you're looking at Minneapolis, St. Paul, or older homes. Where's the laundry? Is there enough natural light? How much maintenance will this yard require? Does the layout fit how I actually live? Notice something? None of those questions have anything to do with granite countertops or trendy light fixtures or paint colors. That's because almost everything cosmetic can be changed. Location can't, lot size can't, ceiling height usually can't. The layout can be difficult to change sometimes. Major structural issues can be expensive to change. And one of the biggest mistakes I see first-time home buyers make is falling in love with the finishes while overlooking the fundamentals. Beautiful staging is designed to help you imagine yourself living there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't let beautiful furniture distract you from evaluating the actual house. Another thing I'd encourage you to do is take notes after every showing. Not pages of notes. You don't need to write a book. Just answer 3 questions. What did I like? What didn't I like? And what surprised me? After you've toured 10 or 15 homes, these notes will become incredibly valuable because everything starts to mush together and you will start to see that patterns emerge. You realize that maybe you care more about natural light than you thought, or maybe a larger yard isn't actually as important as being closer to work, or maybe you've discovered that finished basements matter more than an updated kitchen. Every house teaches you something about your priorities. That's why I tell buyers not to think of early showings as wasted time. They're part of the education. And the more you learn about yourself, the easier it becomes to recognize the right house when it finally appears. Because eventually, one will. And when it does, it's time to make an offer. So let's talk about making an offer without feeling like you're gambling. Because for a lot of buyers, this is the most intimidating part of the process. You've found a house you genuinely like. Maybe you've already started imagining where your couch will go. Maybe you've pictured yourself celebrating holidays there. Maybe you even caught yourself calling it our house or my house. Now someone asks, so what do you want to offer? And suddenly it feels like you're taking a test you didn't study for. Here's the good news. Making an offer isn't guessing. It's not throwing out a random number and hoping for the best. A good offer is built on information. Your realtor should help you understand what similar homes have recently sold for, not what they're listed for, what they actually sold for, because those are 2 very different things. They'll also help you understand current market conditions. Is this a market where homes are selling quickly? Are buyers competing? Are sellers receiving multiple offers, or are homes sitting on the market longer? The context matters because offer strategy changes with the market and each property. Sometimes asking price makes sense, sometimes below asking makes sense, sometimes above asking makes sense. There's no one-size-fits-all formula. Every house is different, every seller is different, every market is different, every buyer is different. Your offer also includes much more than just the purchase price. You'll decide on things like the amount of earnest money you want to submit, your preferred closing date, your inspection terms, what financing contingency are you having, financing contingency, appraisal contingency if applicable, and any requests you want to include. One thing I always remind buyers is this: an offer is simply the beginning of a conversation. Sometimes it's accepted exactly as written. Sometimes the seller counters and sometimes you negotiate. Sometimes another buyer gets the house. And yes, that can be disappointing. But losing one house doesn't mean you've lost your opportunity to become a homeowner. I've seen buyers devastated after losing what they believed was the one. Then a few weeks later, they're standing in a different house saying, I'm actually happier this happened. At the time, they couldn't imagine it, but looking back, they realized that first house wasn't the right fit at all. So don't put all your emotional energy into one property before it's yours. Stay hopeful, stay flexible, and remember, the goal isn't to win the offer. The goal is to end up in the right home. When your offer is accepted, most buyers feel one emotion: excitement. About 24 hours later, another emotion usually starts to show up. What did I just do? And that is completely normal, because now the house enters one of the most important parts of the process: the inspection. The home inspection is important, and it's learning all about the house. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you've probably heard me say this before. The inspection is not about finding a perfect house. It does not exist. Every home has issues. Brand new construction has issues. Homes built in the 1950s have issues. Luxury homes, starter homes, they all have issues. The purpose of the inspection is education. You're hiring someone to spend several hours evaluating the condition of the property so you understand what you're buying. And I think that's a much healthier mindset than approaching it as a pass or fail test. Most inspection reports look terrifying and intimidating. They're long, they're detailed, they're full of pictures. They will include maintenance recommendations, safety observations, things to monitor, and things to repair or recommended repairs. When buyers first see one, they often think, this house has way more problems than I expected. In reality though, most homes produce reports that look like that. The important part is learning how to separate information from risk. Some items are simply part of owning a home. Caulking that needs to be replaced, a loose handrail, a furnace filter that should be changed. Those are ownership items. Then there are items that deserve a closer look and a much more in-depth conversation. Roof condition, maybe potential foundation movement, water intrusion, electrical concerns, major plumbing issues, heating and cooling systems nearing the end of their expected life. Those are conversations that help buyers decide how they want to move forward. Sometimes the seller agrees to address certain issues. Sometimes the buyer accepts them. Sometimes the two sides need to negotiate. And occasionally, buyers just decide the house isn't the right fit. And you know what? All of those outcomes are okay. The inspection isn't there to force a decision. It's there to help you make an informed one. The buyers who tend to have the best experience aren't the ones who hope the report comes back perfect. They're the ones who expect to learn something. Because every inspection teaches you about the home you're considering calling home. And once you've worked through the inspection, there's one more hurdle that often confuses first-time buyers: the appraisal. And despite what many people think, it is not the same thing as an inspection. So the appraisal, who is it really for? Because by the time you get here, a lot of buyers think they're almost done. You found the house, your offer was accepted, you've made it through the inspection. So why is someone else coming to look at the house? This is where the appraisal comes in. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that the appraisal is for you. It isn't. It's primarily for your lender. Think about it this way. If a bank is going to lend hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy a property, they want confidence that the property supports the amount they're lending. That's the purpose of the appraisal. The appraiser evaluates the property and compares it to recent sales to develop an opinion of value. Sometimes the appraisal comes back right where everyone expected. That's the most common outcome. And the transaction moves forward, nothing changes. Sometimes though, the appraisal comes in lower than the agreed purchase price. If that happens, don't panic. It doesn't automatically mean the deal falls apart. It simply means everyone has another conversation. And depending on the situation, there may be several possible paths forward. The seller might agree to lower the price, the buyer might choose to bring in additional funds, both parties might negotiate a compromise, or in some situations, the transaction may not move forward. The important thing to remember is this: a lower appraisal is not a personal judgment about the house you chose. It's simply one step in the financing process. And if everything continues to move forward, you're getting very close to the finish line. But before closing, there's one more stop that many buyers underestimate. So, final walkthrough. What is it? It's your last chance to look. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're almost a homeowner. The final walkthrough usually happens shortly before closing, either the day before or morning of, depending on your closing time. And despite the name, this isn't another showing. You're not deciding whether you still like the house. You've already made that decision. The purpose of the walkthrough is to confirm that the home is in substantially the same condition as when you agreed to buy it. You're making sure agreed upon repairs, if any, have been completed, and you're confirming that fixtures and items expected to remain at the property are still there. You're checking for any significant damage that may have occurred before closing. Nicks, dings, scrapes, and maybe a messy home aren't terrible things to discover, because most walkthroughs are uneventful. And honestly, that's exactly what you want. You walk through the house, you verify everything looks as expected, and then you head toward closing day. But before we get there, I want to prepare you for something almost every buyer experiences. It's called closing week anxiety. No one really talks about it, but it's real. For weeks, you've been signing documents, sending paperwork, answering emails, watching deadlines, waiting for updates, and right before closing, your brain suddenly starts asking questions. Did we make the right decision? Did we spend too much? What if something goes wrong? What if I'm forgetting something so important? And if that happens, just know this: you're not alone. Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions most people will ever make. And feeling nervous doesn't mean you're making a wrong decision. It usually means you're making an important one. Trust the preparation you've done. Trust the questions you've asked. Trust the process you've worked through, because you're closer than you think. Okay, now we're at closing day. Let's talk about what actually happens. Because for many first-time buyers, closing day feels mysterious. You know you're getting the house, you know you're signing paperwork, but beyond that, what actually happens? Thankfully, it's usually much less dramatic than people imagine. You'll meet the appropriate closing professionals at the scheduled location. You'll review and sign a number of documents related to the purchase and financing. You'll provide any remaining funds that are due according to the instructions you've received before closing. Your lender will finalize the loan. Ownership documents will be processed. And once everything is complete, the transaction officially closes. Then comes one of my favorite moments. You get the keys, and almost immediately, something changes. The house you've been calling the house or the one suddenly becomes our house, my house. It's a really special moment, one that doesn't get old, no matter how many times I've seen it happen. But here's something I wish more buyers understood. Closing day isn't the finish line. It's really the starting line. Because now, you actually own a home. And the first month of ownership is where good habits can save you money, reduce stress, and make your life much easier. So let's talk about that first 30 days as a homeowner, because this is the part almost nobody prepares buyers for. Everyone talks about getting the keys. Not many people talk about what happens the next morning. The first thing I'd recommend is simple, and this is from personal experience. Don't try to do everything at once. There will always be projects, there will always be improvements, and there will always be furniture you want to buy. And there will always be paint colors you want to change. You don't have to do it all the first weekend. Live in the house first. Learn it. See how the morning light comes through the windows. Figure out which room naturally becomes your favorite. Understand how you actually use the space before making any major changes. Second, start learning where the important things are. Know where the main water shutoff is. Know where your electrical panel is. Know how to change your furnace filter. Know where the gas shutoff is, if applicable. Find the owner's manuals if they've been left behind. And create a folder for warranties and maintenance records. I'm telling you right now, future you will be very grateful. Third, set up a simple maintenance schedule. Homeownership isn't about waiting until something breaks. It's about small, consistent maintenance over time. Things like changing your furnace filters. Set up an auto shipment from your favorite store to show up every 30 days. That's your reminder to change your furnace filter. Clean your gutters. Help avoid getting water in your home. Check caulking. Testing your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Testing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Servicing heating and cooling systems through your home warranty program. Walking around the exterior every season. None of these jobs are especially exciting, but together, they help protect one of the biggest investments you'll ever make. Fourth, don't spend every dollar just because you've closed. One of the healthiest habits new homeowners can develop is rebuilding their emergency fund as quickly as possible. Because surprises do happen, that's part of owning a home. The goal isn't to avoid surprises, it's to be prepared for them. And finally, Give yourself permission to settle in. Your house doesn't need to look like a magazine after 30 days or 90 days or even a year or like almost a decade. Homes evolve. Your style evolves. Your routines evolve. One of the best parts of homeownership is making the space your own over time. There's no prize for finishing first. And if you've made it all the way to this point, you probably noticed something. Buying a house isn't actually one giant decision. It is a series of small decisions along the way. Am I ready? What can I comfortably afford? Who do I want helping me through this? Does this house fit my life? Do I understand its condition? Am I comfortable with the costs of ownership? And when you break it down like that, the process becomes a whole lot less intimidating, and that's really the point. Because I don't believe people need more pressure when they're buying a home. I truly believe they need more clarity. The more you understand before you buy, the more confident you'll feel when it's time to make decisions. That's why I make these videos. Not to convince you that now is the right time to buy. Not to tell you every house is a great opportunity, because they're not. But to help you make decisions you'll feel good about years from now. If you're still deciding whether buying is the right move, I'd recommend watching my video on whether it's actually better to rent or buy in Minneapolis. That one helps you answer the question that comes before everything we talked about today. And if you're already planning to buy somewhere in Minneapolis, St. Paul, or anywhere around the Twin Cities, and you'd like someone to help you think through the process without pressure, you'll find my contact information in the description below. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. Good luck with your home search, and I'll see you in the next one.